can hear myself. Hello, welcome to Without a Country. If you are watching the live stream, thank you for your patience. As I said, we are in a new studio this week. It's the GWF studio if you watch my other podcast. Thank you for joining us. If you are new here, this is Without a Country. I am Corinne Fisher, former New York City mayoral candidate, current stand-up comedian and podcaster, and I'm here bringing you the truth as we find it from looking at sources from both the right and the left. And this is a show where we try to fight misinformation and also, tackle stories that perhaps you wouldn't have found otherwise. I go through a lot of online sources and then I kind of pair them with other things that I find on websites and everything, so that we're not just taking information from some person on Instagram who you don't know, which also could be me. So check my sources too. But I'll tell you the sources I'm using. It's not just going to be, they were taking the girls' teeth out so that they couldn't bite them. That's a piece of information I'm currently tracking. Why Jeffrey Epstein had a dental chair on his island, not confirmed yet though. So don't just take any information from anyone. Welcome to the show. If you are in the Tucson, Arizona area, as a reminder, this Saturday, February 21st, I will be doing Pageant to the People at Club Congress in Tucson. This is to raise money for the Pima County Democratic Party. It is going to be a town hall unlike you've ever seen before. Where I will sit down with the mayor of Tucson and two Tucson city council members. So the mayor is Regina Romero. The city council members are going to be Paul Cunningham and Miranda Schubert, and I'll ask them questions. Then you as audience and constituents will have an opportunity to ask them questions. And at the end, they were all going to perform talents for you, like America's Got Talent style, because if we want people to get involved with municipal politics, we need to give them some bang for their buck. We need to get them entertained like it's Real Housewives of New York up in here. And we are going to do that. There will also be opportunities for you to register to vote. If you are not already registered to vote, no shame in that. We want you anytime we can get you. That's my perspective. I'm not going to shame people for not being registered to vote. I think this is definitely a show targeted at people who have previously been politically apathetic. Bring your most politically apathetic friend, and we want to win them over. Give us that opportunity as Democrats to win them over. And then additionally, if you are interested in running for public office yourself, we will have support there. I think people don't know that you don't have to do it alone. If you think what you have what it takes to be a politician, then please come on down and we will help support you in that endeavor. Because we don't want to just be people who are saying run for something, but do it 100% on your own, which I think is something many of us have experienced. All right, so obviously another sad death this week. We lost a civil rights icon in Jesse Jackson. He was the ripe old age of 85, and it was nice to see everyone celebrating his life and his legacy online. It's sad to me that he had, to go out during this administration, because you would hope that someone who's done so much work for civil rights would have seen a little bit more of a progress during his time, and I think it's a time of regression that he had to die during, but hopefully there is an afterlife, and we owe it to him and ourselves and many other people to make this right. So hopefully we can do that. But rest in peace, rest in power to Jesse Jackson. Obviously, Project 2025 is something that the Trump administration has been bringing to life, just like we knew they would. Or if you're a listener of this show, you knew they were doing that. Some people didn't believe or did believe Donald Trump when he said, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know anyone who's involved in Project 2025. That's not something that I am doing. He's kind of stopped trying to deny his affiliation with Project 2025 because it's pretty obvious that that is exactly what they are doing. And I found, I just kind of wanted to check in on the progress this administration has made in bringing Project 2025 to life. They are 51% completed in bringing Project 2025 to life. And there's a Project 2025 tracker that you can go to if you're really interested. I was more interested in the things that we really should be looking out for that have not yet been completed but are definitely on the agenda. So it's project2025.observer/en. If you want to look into it, and there are a total of 320 objectives being tracked, and there's 1,066 days left until the end of this term, but who's counting? And they break down everything by agency, by objectives, by things that have been completed. So you'll scroll down. A ton of stuff has already been completed that you are probably aware of if you are someone who reads the news. And again, it follows the show a lot. So scrolling down, so many things happen so quickly and so carelessly. And then we look at what has yet not, is yet left to complete. So they have, here's just a smattering of things. The USDA Department of Agriculture, not yet started, but something that they're looking to do according to Project 2025 is eliminate the Conservation Reserve Program. For the CDC, they're looking to cut funds to states that do not provide detailed abortion reports. So again, this is a similar thing. We're seeing a lot of asks to provide basically like surveillance information on us. So that includes, sending in voter rolls. It's something that we've seen a lot. And now these detailed abortion reports. There was also talks of anyone who has talked negatively about ICE online, on social media, being placed on some kind of list. So again, the party that is so often against surveillance being watched, talked so much about their love of states' rights, is really taking that all away, definitely backstepping on their word. And, I say put me on that list. Put me on that. I have definitely talked very negatively about ICE. Put me on the list. Happy to be on that list. What are you going to do with that list? We don't know, ... ellipses. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they want to allow states to amend their Medicaid programs without waivers oversight. What else is here? Another one from the CDC, they want to prohibit the use of aborted fetal cells in developing vaccines. Well, they'll do anything against vaccines. They want to... USDA repeal the federal sugar program. I'd have to look more into what the federal sugar program is, if it's pro-sugar or anti-sugar. They also want to prohibit schools from grouping together to utilize the community eligibility provision. That's again from the USDA. They want to, this is from the Department of Defense. They want to increase defense burden sharing with allies. They want to reduce U.S. force posture in Europe. They want to, again, this is from the USDA, they want to end broad-based categorical eligibility for SNAP. They want to require all schools that receive federal funding to give students the military entrance test. That's an interesting one, absolutely. They want to direct the military to assist in building border wall. That's one that is in progress but not yet completed. Again, also in progress is banning critical race theory and gender ideology from public school curriculum. That's currently blocked by a court order, but I'm sure they'll find other ways to get around it. Let's see, education, not started yet, but convert individuals with disabilities Education Act funding to no strings block grants. They want to pass a federal parents' Bill of Rights. Again, it's like so much that they have not done, so much they've started, but really interesting stuff that you probably don't even know about unless you sat and read all, hundreds and hundreds of pages of Project 2025. But I think this website, again, if you want to spend some time, if this is something you're interested in, does a really good job of breaking it down simply so that you don't have to go through all those pages. So again, just something to keep an eye on. We don't have to act surprised and play a guessing game of the types of things that are happening. It really is organized very nicely for us, the kind of horrors that we will endure, I'm sure, in the next 1,066 days. moving forward, we are in, as I said, in a different studio this week, so we don't have the same ability to share media. We're going to work on that. We had very little of a heads up. We had basically 6 days to switch studios in a studio that we've been working out of for quite some time, and we don't do the same kind of live streaming in the GWF studio. So I can't share media in the same way. I had some things planned that I didn't realize we couldn't share, but the enemy of the state this week is it's the workout video that Kid Rock and RFK released, where they're like shirtless, they're working out barefoot, which is seemingly pretty dangerous. RFK loves to work out in jeans, which I just always think is weird. Like, I mean, I'm a workout girly. Jeans are just uncomfortable to work out in. I don't know why you would choose to work out in them.
Enemy of the state.
That was really good, Mike. Thank you so much. I appreciate your commitment. But yeah, it's the Rock Out Workout. I don't want to play too much, but you have to check out this video on Instagram. We'll link it in here. It starts with them in some kind of, is this RFK's home or a wooden cabin? I don't know what they're doing, but it is more homoerotic, as someone pointed out, than Heated Rivalry or Brokeback Mountain, if you want to go with a more millennial reference, I suppose, millennial youth reference. I will say RFK does have a great body for an older man. I mean, if I was Kid Rock, I would have kept my shirt on, and that is body shaming, and I do not care. RFK also gets into a cold plunge, again, just fully in jeans, which I know he can't be bottomless, but has this man never heard of pool trunks? It's very weird. And this is in Kid Rock's home gym, which looks a lot, honestly, like Joe Rogan's studio, for anyone who's seen pictures of that or who has been there. Or it looks like one of those motels that you go to and they have themed rooms, and this is some type of cavern themed room. It's very, very strange, but this is the Make America Healthy Again. And I don't really know what they're telling you to do in this besides work out and use a cold plunge and I guess wear jeans during your workout. But it's a sight for sore eyes, that's for sure. Of course, there's shadows of eagles flying through it. So, enjoy that on your time, on your own personal time if you want to. Your eyes may never recover then. And on the flip side, we don't usually do this, but I also wanted to give credit to a motivated woman of the week. I want to preface this by saying, even when it comes to Donald Trump, I am against political violence. I know it seems like the easiest solution to the problem of Donald Trump being president would be to have him not be president because someone would make that so by, creating a situation in which he is no longer living. I think that's a legal way to say that. I'm not on board with that. And I know, although some people are kind of hoping and praying for that, I just don't think that's the answer. I think it is really creates chaos in a country when the leader is assassinated, and that's certainly we're already looked at as so out of control here in America because of this administration. I really don't think an assassination would help anything. But a West Virginia librarian thought differently. This is from Fox News. West Virginia librarian arrested for allegedly recruiting people on social media to assassinate Trump. Morgan L. Morrow allegedly posted videos with captions asking for a sniper with a terminal illness to target Trump, which I guess if you're going to do the ask is the best person. Because I had been thinking, like, surely there's a liberal sniper out there. I know guns are often associated with Republicans, but I'm sure there's some liberal snipers out there. This says a West Virginia librarian has been charged after she allegedly posted videos seeking to recruit assassins targeting President Donald Trump. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department in West Virginia announced Sunday evening that Morgan L. Morrow of Ripley, West Virginia, was charged with one count of making a terroristic threat. The sheriff's department said that Morrow, a librarian at the Jackson County Public Library, used social media recruitment of individuals to pursue and assassinate President Trump. Further details will be released as we continue to compile facts and further the investigation. Jackson County Sheriff R.H. Mellinger said, "Note, this is not meant to be a political-oriented statement. This is an active criminal investigation with documented and troubling concerns." And I think she's 39 years old. She is wearing a skeleton sweater, not unlike a skeleton sweater that I own. And I kind of feel for her because, number one, like librarians, that's like a good, if you choose that as your career for life, I mean, I feel like you're a good person, you're an interested person, you're at least someone who's interested in facts and research and spreading knowledge and having people, no matter what their fiscal background is, have access to information, which I think is such an important pursuit. But, you know, if this is someone who wants to get Trump assassinated and wears skeleton sweaters, baby girl, what are you doing in West Virginia? Get out. I really feel for her. She must be so alone. She must have not a big friend group in West Virginia. To be a leftist and maybe a goth girlie in West Virginia, are there a lot of you there? I don't even know if I've ever gotten an email from someone who listens to anything I do from West Virginia. If you're out there, please send me an email, withoutacountrypodcast@gmail.com, because Morgan Morrow needs a friend and maybe you could be the friend. The announcement from the sheriff's department came after Libs of TikTok posted a video that Morrow reportedly posted. The video was captioned, "Surely a sniper with a terminal illness cannot be a big ask out of 343 million people." In the comments of Morrow's Instagram video, others also proposed the assassinations of White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller, as well as tech CEO Larry Ellison and Silicon Valley entrepreneur Peter Thiel. The Jackson County Public Library posted a statement on Facebook Sunday evening, shortly before the sheriff announced Morrow's arrest. The comments recently made by an employee do not reflect the mission, values, or standards of conduct of our organization. We take our responsibilities to the public and our supporters seriously and are committed to professionalism, respect, and integrity in all that we do, the library said. The views expressed are made in an individual capacity and do not represent the position of the organization. We are addressing the matter internally in accordance to our established policies and procedures. We remain committed to our mission and serving our community in a manner that upholds our core values. And so this is just a good reminder that we cannot, in fact, talk openly about assassinating the president. That is illegal, yes, even when it is Donald Trump, even when perhaps many of the people in the country are in agreement that that would be a positive thing more than a negative thing. That is illegal, whether you're saying it on social media or on a podcast or, you know, in your stand-up set. It has to be, you have to be very careful with that thing. It is very illegal. So just a reminder, I feel like sometimes people forget these things, and that is in fact illegal. So you don't want to end up like Morgan Morrow, although, you know, I appreciate a motivated woman. Another fun fact coming out of politics this week is both my boyfriend and our amazing WAC intern Crystal brought this to my attention this week. It is kind of a fact that's sweeping the nation, and I just wanted to share it with you. Pam Bondi is 60 years old. So I know a lot of times the left likes to talk about how when you have hate in your heart, you age badly, but I guess that's not always true, because Pam Bondi, you look great. How old did you know that Pam Bondi was 60, Mike? No. How like?
I mean, you can't Forrest Gump your way through as much as she has without being fairly old.
Well, because we don't accept that anymore.
No, she's done too much in her life, like way before. Head of the DOJ, like every other side quest she's had, like tells me, all right, this woman's got to be at least, in her 50s. So the fact she's 60 is like, I don't know.
Right, I was thinking 50. Like, I don't know.
But,
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I was looking at her and I was like, she looks great. But I'm like, when you really zoom in, I mean, and not that this is like we need to do a big segment on people's ages, but I'm kind of interested in it, just because I don't think, like, people realize people just assume like at a certain age you look bad, and they have everyone likes to say that all white people age badly. It's just like not true, and it's kind of like hack nonsense information at this point. Like Pam Bondi, to me, I thought she was in like her early 50s, and so like the fact that she's 60 is like impressive, but also like it's totally possible to look good at 60. 60 in 2026 isn't what 60 was in like 1980. It's just not the same anymore. We know more about health. We have, things like Botox and filler are more accessible to the average person, whereas previously I think it was something reserved for only, people in Hollywood, things like facelifts and stuff. I'm not saying she's gotten any of these things. Maybe she has, I don't know, Pam Bondi's medical spa journey. But I just wish people would stop being so shocked when people who are a little older look good, because it's just a testament to how we negatively view aging for women in this country, and I don't like it. If you are against everything that's going on in the Epstein files, you should also be against placing women who look childlike on a pedestal, and saying things like women expire at 30 or something like that. Like all these same trolls on the internet who are like release the Epstein files are also people who say tweet back a picture of an empty egg carton to women who are over 35. So it's like, pick a lane. Are you into pedophilia or are you not into pedophilia without a country? All right, moving on to our Patreon, giving a huge shout out to our amazing dictator, Christopher Fungi. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And I want to give a big welcome to our newest cutie, Brittany Blum. I'm going to say it Blum because I'm a horror fan, and that's how you would say Blumhouse, but it could be Bloom. But thank you so much for joining on to support this show. We appreciate you so much. If anyone else wants to help to support the show for as little as $6 a month, you can head over to patreon.com/withoutacountry, where you can get you can support the show for as little as $6 a month, and you get an additional video news story every single week that we are on air, which is every single week. Moving on to our main story. So we have two main stories this week. Firstly, I want to talk about the Clintons' association with Epstein, whether or not, Trump is trying to get us distracted by involving the Clintons. Obviously, Bill Clinton's name appears in the Epstein files many, 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 many times. Hillary Clinton has been saying this week that this is just a tactic that Donald Trump is using. California Representative Ted Lieu kind of went off and said this is completely a distraction from Trump's numerous mentions in the Epstein files. But let's get into this as our first main story of the week. This first one is from Mike's favorite news source, the New York Post. And I thought this was fair. A lot of times when I'm reading a story that leans Democratic, I'll read it from a right-leaning news source so we can all be on the same page here. This says, Ted Lieu makes wild claim about Trump and Epstein, but doesn't disclose unhinged source. So you can see what side they're on. Representative Ted Lieu hurled wild rape accusations against President Donald Trump in a fiery exchange with Attorney General Pam Bondi on Thursday, but failed to mention that his claims stem from a, quote, an unhinged source. And there is video of this if you want to actually watch the video online. It's been circulating. Ted Lieu's accusations or claims are that Donald Trump has raped children. I don't think this is crazy. This is not the first time we've heard something like this, but the New York Post still says this is wild. At a House Judiciary Committee hearing on the Epstein files, the deluded Democrat cited an unclassified FBI document that outlined unverified claims from an anonymous man who worked as a limo driver in 1995. The man claimed he picked up Trump and overheard him in the back seat speaking on the phone to someone he repeatedly called Jeffrey and made references to, quote, abusing some girl. The limo driver claimed he was a few seconds from pulling the limousine over on the median and within a few seconds of pulling him out of the car and hurting him. But Lieu, who represents California's 36th district, failed to disclose the troubling origins of the allegations. The man behind the FBI reports is Dan Faree, who's posted hundreds of politically charged and anti-Trump memes to his Facebook account, including one recent image that looks like the president in a casket. Faree has openly admitted on social media to being the anonymous FBI caller prior to Lieu's mention of the report and has accused Trump and his administration of stalking him over the years. He also rattled off wild claims during an interview on the Opperman report. Faree, in the report he made to the FBI, said he later met a young girl who told him she had been raped by Trump and Epstein at a, quote, fancy hotel. Faree also claimed without evidence the young girl who made the rape allegations was found years later with her head blown off and that officers on the scene didn't believe it was a suicide. He said the coroner later ruled it a suicide. Lieu has since reposted only 2 of 3 pages from Faree's full statement to the FBI. The third page shows Faree rambling about the Oklahoma City bombing and a drunk Hillary Clinton. And those pages with, specific redactions are also posted in this New York Post article. It's interesting, and it's easy to call someone crazy when they're not spouting what you want them to be spouting. Plenty of people on the right seem crazy to people on the left. Mike, have you heard anything else about this particular limo driver? This feels like something up your alley. Do you know the limo driver?
No, I've been consuming strictly news involving the T20I Cricket World Cup that's going on. That's been all of my news consumption over the week.
Okay, wow. All right.
It's way more interesting to me than any of the stuff that's coming out.
But you were salivating for the Epstein files to come out.
Yeah, I mean, look, according to a number of people, including Thomas Massey and Mr. Lieu, who got to look at the actual Epstein files. Mm-hmm. It's like, according to them, the real bad stuff hasn't even come out yet. So, let's wait till that comes out.
But didn't they just announce this week that we're not going to see that everything that's going to be released to the public from the Epstein files has been released? That was the claim this week. Yeah. I mean, I guess that doesn't mean that perhaps that could just be a claim from this particular administration, and then, someone for the next presidential election could run on releasing the additional pages. I guess it's possible.
We just saw a presidency run on, we're going to release the Epstein files.
No, I get it.
So come on, yeah, give us Zoran running in 20.
He can't run for president. He wasn't born in America. Unless they change the Constitution.
But you know what I'm saying, though. Like, yeah. Give us the latest lefty populist who says they're going to open up the files only to find out that they're going to fall in line with the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there was a mayor from, I believe, a town in South Carolina who's kind of going viral on TikTok because he was just, talking to people the way that you would talk to your friends on using Instagram Reels and TikToks and stuff, and he was awesome. And a lot of people were commenting that so many municipal politicians start out in this very transparent way, because when you are mayor, especially of a smaller town, you really can act like that. This guy was kind of just going on Facebook, calling people out. He would have people post pictures of their water bill being really high, and he would go personally fix it. And that's the kind of stuff that you can do when you are the mayor of a small town. But as people were kind of pointing out in the comments, as you go higher and higher in the ranks, you realize that you as an individual are unable to wield a great amount of power, and how the structure is, really built against you to make change. And I think that we see that with everyone. I mean, a huge amount yet, but I mean, we've even seen it a little bit so far with Zoran Mamdani, who again, I think is doing a good job in New York, but he's already kind of looking at the financial pit that we are in here in New York City, and realizing that maybe some of the things that he ran on or proposed, unless big changes are made, are not going to be fiscally possible. And, you know, even the way he speaks about certain issues, he's now become a little bit more in the center so as not to upset either side as much. And we continuously see that as people go from lower level politics to higher level politics.
He also supported Jeffries for being the new Speaker of the House, and declined to endorse fellow DSA candidate. Can't remember the guy's name.
Chiosei?
Sure. Whatever it was,
the city council member?
He refused to endorse the DSA member. And
yeah, because that was Chiosei wanted to run against Hakeem. And I think, you know, we talked about that a little bit on the show, but the conversation there was that, like, it just wasn't the time. I mean, I think that, I believe, didn't AOC wasn't on board either? I think the conversation there was that, you know, we had such a big win in Zoran Mamdani becoming mayor that we didn't want to try to flip everything at once. I actually think, you know, even though I do think Hakeem Jeffries has to go, I think strategically he was making a point. And I mean, and I also don't love Chiosei. Like, Chiosei is one of these people who believes his own hype already, and it's like, all right, you're a city council member, relax here, bud. But you know, we'll see. Like, I had to unfollow him just because he also was someone who was like in the DSA, out of the DSA, in the DSA, when it was convenient for him, out of the DSA. And it's like, where do you really stand? This is, what are you doing here? All right, next article about the Clinton quote-unquote distraction. Hillary Clinton, and this is from The Hill, on Epstein connection, we have no links, which is, that's kind of an interesting thing to say. Again, The Hill, right-leaning, which is why I chose this, so it's not too pro-Clinton. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton told the BBC that she and her husband, former President Bill Clinton, have no links to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm just going to stop them right there. And that is a pretty wild statement to make, to say no links. And I think these are the kind of sound bites that really get people in trouble, because you could have just, you know, you could have easily said, like, yes, obviously, like, this was a person who was involved with many politicians over the years. We have been a political family for decades. We knew him. We've been in rooms with him. That does not make us criminals. That's an easy sentence to make. To say you have no links when there is a Wikipedia page entitled, and I quote, "Relationship of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein," is, I think, why people, you know, are distrusting of politicians. One of many, many, many reasons people are distrusting of politicians. So I didn't think that was a good move. I understand she wants to approach this boldly. Obviously, it's really serious accusations here, but I thought that was weird. People also, I gotta be honest, don't seem overly concerned with the Clintons' mentions in the Epstein files. I think that's because once people are kind of out of power and we don't really see an opportunity where they are going to be in a position of high power anymore, we're kind of like, screw it, doesn't really matter. Quote, she says, "We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said he took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him." When BBC's Jessica Parker asked Hillary Clinton whether she ever met Maxwell, she replied, "I did on a few occasions." Bill Clinton is featured in files related to Epstein released by the Department of Justice. The former president's name appeared in flight logs from 2002 and 2003, documenting his travel with Epstein to Thailand, Portugal, Ghana, Russia, and China, before Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. The Clintons have not been accused of wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. CNN...
Is there a worse place to be going to than Thailand?
As far as sexuality, you mean?
Well, no, it's just like, you know, it's the most hack place for sex tourism is like
right.
Colombia or Thailand. And it's like, these are the places you're going to with noted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I guess they're trying to say, oh, we didn't know. And like, I think there's like different tiers of people who are involved in the Epstein files. Obviously, at the very top, you have the monsters who are having, who were raping minors. That's at the very top. And then you have this middle tier of people who I think knew what Jeffrey was up to, even if they themselves weren't engaged in pedophilic sex. If you know that someone is raping children and you continue to hang out with them and continue to not report them, like that does put you in a specific situation. And then, the lowest tier being people who, I don't know, like worked for him and had no idea, like if you were his driver or if you were his housekeeper. But even those people, you're like, okay, well, you had to kind of probably see some wild shit going on. CNN also reported in August that Maxwell was an honored guest at a Clinton Global Initiative conference in 2013 after she was publicly accused in civil lawsuits of assisting Epstein in sexually abusing minors. But Hillary Clinton defended Maxwell's presence at the conference, telling the BBC that thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So to me, it's not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about, she added, speaking about her and her husband's connection to Epstein and Maxwell. They are accused and in both cases were convicted of horrific crimes against girls and women. That should be the focus. And like to a certain extent, again, I'm going to use being a stand-up comedian as an example because it's the world that I know. So to a certain extent, I understand what they're saying. Like when you are at a certain level, you're going to be associating with certain groups of people, right? So for me, it's like, have I been at events or even possibly hosted events where there were people, like rapists were at, like people who have sexually assaulted people in the comedy community that maybe I don't know now, no one has said in the future will come out. Like, yeah, honestly, I'm a stand-up comedian and I know male comedians. I can 100%, especially with shit that's going on right now in the comedy community, I can see that being truthful. But as soon as I hear about anyone being engaged in such activities, I'm like, okay, you're no longer invited to anything I do. So it's like, to a certain extent, I can understand someone who later gets accused of bad crimes, like being in your circle and you being like, yeah, I kind of knew them, but I didn't know them that well. We all have different tiers of friends, but at a certain point, you're like, you've had to hear something. This guy is worth so much money. He had so much reach. It's hard for me to believe that when these people are at this high level of power that they just don't know. Like every industry has its own gossip mill, and just the same way that in a comedy gossip mill, we all knew about Louis C.K. before you guys knew about Louis C.K. I can't imagine that in politics, especially at the level of the Clintons, that they didn't know about Epstein long before we knew about Epstein and Maxwell, right? That's all I'm saying. And again, that doesn't mean that Bill Clinton engaged in this. Like, I think it's also hard for someone who has such a bad sexual history, such a bad history of his behavior with women. But I also do want to say that just because you're disgusting with legal women doesn't make you a pedophile. But it's certainly like, it's not good. Like it doesn't help the matter, I suppose. The former first couple will testify separately in front of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee next week, which I'm interested to see. As part of the panel's probe into the Epstein case, the Clintons initially resisted subpoenas from committee chair James Comer before relenting earlier this month. The Clintons have called for their hearings to be held in public, bold move, with Hillary Clinton doubling down on that push to the BBC. We will show up, but we think it would be better to have it in public, she said. So, to be continued. We'll really see what's going on there. And then The Hill also did a piece called Hillary Clinton Trump Administration Perpetuating Epstein Files Cover-Up. This one says, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has accused the Trump administration of facilitating a cover-up by prolonging the release of files and names tied to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his associates. Get the files out. They are slow walking it, Clinton told BBC in an interview published Tuesday. The administration has sought to turn the page on the files, saying it has fully complied with requirements to release documents, even as several bipartisan lawmakers argue officials have not fully released all available information, and also a lot of complaints about like things being redacted that did not, there's seemingly no reason why they needed to be redacted. Clinton, in her interview with the BBC, also went after congressional Republican leaders over her scheduled appearance before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee next week, which she called a shiny object for the GOP. The former Secretary of State and former President Clinton will testify before the House panel as part of the committee's Epstein investigation. Hillary Clinton told the BBC that she never met Epstein, but she met his convicted associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, on a few occasions. You know, which could be possible. I don't think Hillary is in those flight logs, right? That was just Bill Clinton doing that, I'm pretty sure. So it's...
Yeah, it was a boys' trip.
Like, so again, like, I'm trying to think, like, is this believable? I feel like good that she said, yes, I've met Ghislaine Maxwell on multiple accounts. You know, I've certainly had, you know, boyfriends who have had friends that I've never met. It is possible. Bill Clinton was featured in the Epstein files, but has denied any wrongdoing. The former president's name appeared in flight logs from 2002 and 2003, documenting, as we talked about before, those same trips that to the countries, including Thailand, that Mike thinks is really a dead giveaway. Let's see. A number of other high-profile leaders appear in the files, such as President Trump, though that itself does not indicate any wrongdoing. I just started looking at names before. I hadn't done it previously. I did officially check for my name in the Epstein files. I came up clear, and then I was like, let me check Victoria Beckham, just because I wanted to. And she actually does appear in the Epstein files, it seems, but it's just like around like celebrity stuff. It has nothing to do, because there's just so much like things, like even it seems like, you know, orders from like websites or Amazon, like if you, because I looked up acid too, because there was talk of, you know, acid being used, like sulfuric acid, I believe, which, you know, people are like, oh, this is to, you know, make bodies disappear. But when you type in acid, hyaluronic acid also appears, which is just an acid that you would use for a skincare regimen. So again, lots of things appearing in those Epstein files. My name comes up clear, though, which was nice. While both Clintons have agreed to give a public testimony regarding their knowledge of Epstein, Hillary Clinton said she wants all who are subpoenaed to receive the same treatment. She wants it to be fair. Yada, yada, yada. Hillary Clinton has repeatedly railed against the prolonged release of 3 million documents tied to Epstein's estate and urged the Trump administration to focus on holding those who were criminally involved accountable, while suggesting efforts to subpoena her were politically motivated. Well, obviously, her husband shared similar concerns after the two have pushed to have a public hearing for transparency purposes. Quote, I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared, Bill Clinton wrote on X. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this in the right way in a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this really is about. Who benefits from this arrangement, Bill Clinton wrote. It's not Epstein's victims who deserve justice, not the public who deserve the truth. It serves only partisan interests. This is not fact-finding. It's pure politics. And then again, I looked at this Wikipedia page entitled Relationship of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, just to summarize what their connection actually is in response to Hillary Clinton's, claim of no links, which I thought was pretty bold. So this early connection, starting in the 1990s, Jeffrey Epstein had documented access to the Clinton White House, visiting at least 17 times between 1993 and 1995. So again, I'm not saying that, to visit the White House 17 times, not one time you meet Hillary, I don't know. That feels a little weird. Clinton and his team publicly described, but again, if she did meet him, it seems better that she would just say, yeah, like I met him. He came to the White House one time and we had, tea, and that was kind of the extent of it. Clinton and his team publicly described Epstein during this period as a wealthy guy and a philanthropist. From 2002 to 2003, Bill Clinton took the multiple trips that we talked about to Europe, Asia, and Africa, primarily connected to the work of the Clinton Foundation. Clinton's office later stated he took 4 trips total and that Secret Service agents were present on all flights. Flight logs, however, show Clinton's name on more flight segments, which has fueled controversy. The end of contact, Clinton's office says he stopped communicating with Epstein around 2005 or 2006, well before Epstein's 2008 conviction in Florida and his later federal arrest in 2019. Clinton has stated that he was unaware of Epstein's criminal activities at the time of their association. Ghislaine Maxwell connection. Epstein's close associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, remained socially connected to the Clinton family into the early 2010s, attending Chelsea Clinton's wedding and Clinton Global Initiative events. Clinton representatives later said Chelsea and Maxwell were not close friends. Virginia Giuffre allegations. Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre claims she saw Clinton on Epstein's private island, but did not accuse Clinton of sexual misconduct. So I think that is definitely a check mark in the pro column. Clinton has although I believe in, like, again, I didn't read Virginia Giuffre's book, but Christina did, and we talked about it on GWF. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, that Christina pointed out that Virginia Giuffre states in the book that there are multiple other people that she wanted to call out, but didn't feel comfortable calling out in that book for her own safety. Obviously, it doesn't really matter anymore, but for her own safety. So it is possible that Clinton could have been someone who had some wrongdoings, but she feared him too much to talk about him. Again, that is, like, I'm just saying it's possible. I have absolutely nothing to back that up. Just a thought. Just a thought. I want to be very clear because there's been so much misinformation I've seen online about the Epstein files, or just kind of claims with no backing, that could be true, but also very well could not be true. Clinton has categorically denied ever visiting the island, and a Secret Service FOIA search found no record of such a visit. Giuffre later partially walked back details of her account. Clinton was never deposed in the case. Unsealed court documents 2024. Clinton's name appeared in unsealed Epstein-related court documents as an associate, along with many other public figures. No criminal allegations were made against him in those documents. So, again, it's pretty clear that they had Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton had a social and professional relationship. There's no public evidence or court findings right now that point to specific criminal involvement for Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton, or knowledge of Epstein's crimes or any illicit activity. Although, I just really, if you're that high up, if you've been president, 2 terms, you've done this amount of travel with him, you're obviously a smart guy, you're a successful politician, you're good at reading people. I just really, 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 really find it hard to believe to spend that much time with someone and to have been that high up and known that many important people and have spent time in New York that you just wouldn't, that you had no clue. You had no one ever mentioned anything that you said, maybe I should look into this. I find that extremely hard to believe. All right, moving on to our second main story of the week. It's the James Talarico interview, and I'm also looking at. I'm I hope no one can see I'm wearing underwear, but I realize that I'm wearing jeans that Alfred chewed through the crotch and created a hole in. But I think we're okay. All right, so we've been talking about James Talarico a lot, who is running for Senate in Texas. One of the people he's running against is Jasmine Crockett. Last week we talked about Jasmine's Crockett's AI anime style ad that people were complaining had no policy points in it. James Talarico really seems to have people eating out of the palm of his hand. And while like Jasmine Crockett, as I said, used to be like one of my favorite politicians, she's fallen off a little bit for me long before, like before this Senate run. It was my own opinion, not anything associated with this Talarico thing. I think part of the reason that James Talarico is performing better is because he's like is obviously because of Israel and Gaza and their handling of that. And we're going to get into a little bit more of that today. But also we're obsessed with newness. Like we love a new fresh face, and Jasmine Crockett may be suffering from what I like to call Lady Gaga syndrome. There was a point when she got so hot so quickly, a ton of her clips were going viral on social media. And, you know, perhaps she started to believe her own hype a little bit, which is something that has happened to a lot of politicians. I think there was a moment when it was kind of happening to AOC, and then she course corrected, and I'm just like really, really loving her right now. And recently, in the past year or so, I just think she's really bringing it. But there was a time when I do believe that she was also, believing her own hype. And I don't want to, and I also think that as a society, we are much quicker to try to knock down women when they believe, quote unquote, believe their own hype. When this is also a complaint that I had definitely about Barack Obama. So I don't want it to make it seem like I am joining society's attack on women being confident. I think it's, again, a problem that we've talked about a lot on this show, where there is this blurry line between, are you a politician or are you a celebrity? And as I've talked about before, there are some political roles, i.e. mayor of New York City, where I think a lot of it is star power. So, Zoran Mamdani's team's approach to basically constantly campaigning for the next 4 years so that he can win that second term is, I don't think, a bad approach. But we'll see if people grow tired of him, because people are fickle. It's one of the first things an advisor said to me when I started my campaign. They said people are extremely fickle, and they can turn on you, drop of a hat. I already knew that from being in the entertainment business, but I think even more so in politics. So I do wonder if it's the newness of James Talarico right now that people are really loving. Because I got to be honest, I watched, I wanted to watch it live with you guys, but it's not possible to do that. But, he appeared on Stephen Colbert's show this week. CBS said, we can't run this interview. They made it seem like it was an equal airtime issue. If you guys know about equal airtime, when people are running for political offices, you can have them on, but the show does have to offer equal airtime to all the other candidates running to keep politics fair, so that famous people can't have these like huge and networks can't have these huge effects on elections. So I that is actually a good rule, I think, but it kind of got muddied. Stephen Colbert explains it a little bit. They ended up airing it as a YouTube segment, and as of airtime of this show today, it was at 10.6 million views on YouTube, which is a very high number for a YouTube interview, especially with a candidate who is not the president. And I watched some pieces of that of the interview, and I think he does a good job of being accessible, but people were like losing their shit, doing like crazy applause breaks for him saying kind of things that all of us have been saying for, I don't know, the past 2 years. There was just nothing groundbreaking to me about it. Again, people are like, this is a guy who people are like falling over themselves for. I would, like, again, this is not like a hate on James Talarico. It's just kind of like, I'm not getting it. I find him to be like very salt of the earth, but I'm not like wowed by him. And so if you are wowed by him, please write me in like what it is that you are wowed about. Are you wowed about the way he presents himself? Are you wowed about his policy? Are you wowed about his approach to the campaign? withoutacountrypodcast@gmail.com. Again, I'm not saying this with hate in my heart. I'm just truly curious, because I'm not feeling it yet, you know? Whereas Jasmine Crockett, like, I definitely can get it. The woman has star power. We gotta be honest about that. So there's a Political article that says Colbert says CBS spiked planned James Talarico interview amid FCC pressure. Stephen Colbert blasted CBS on Monday night after the network killed a planned interview with Texas Senate candidate James Talarico, citing concerns that going through with it would raise the ire of the Trump administration, which is so dumb to me. And, James Talarico obviously, says this thing where he's like, I think Donald Trump is really scared that we're about to flip Texas blue. And of course, crowd goes wild at Colbert. But I think it's like, if Trump is truly behind this, and, probably is, seemingly, it seems like, because we know Barry Weiss over at CBS is up Trump's asshole right now, can't even read you articles from Free Press anymore because they're so wildly skewed. Might as well just read you Barry Weiss's diary at this point. Really pisses me off, because when that started, I really, really liked that so much, and it's just gone down the toilet. But I, just the same, basically, like, both parties are really childish. So to me, it was so clear that once this James Talarico interview was censored, it was going to make way more people watch it, and it was going to earn him a lot of money for his campaign. And it did both of those things. Like, if this talk of the GOP placing Jasmine Crockett because they think she is much more beatable than James Talarico is true, they should be putting this energy towards Jasmine Crockett. Because, basically the Democrats are going to respond like it's opposite day. Like, we both like to act childish with each other. So whatever the Republicans do, we're going to, like, revolt against it and do the opposite. And anything they say they like, we're not going to like. So by the Trump administration or whoever on the right censoring this James Talarico interview, that of course was going to tell people on the left, ooh, this guy's someone to watch. If you weren't aware of who James Talarico was yet, you better get aware of James Talarico, because Trump is scared of this guy. I mean, the panties of liberals are getting wet all over the country. I could feel it. And like clockwork, in the past 24 hours after the interview on Colbert aired, James Talarico's campaign profited or earned from donations $2.5 million overnight. It's very similar to after that clip of Zoran Mamdani, going after, who the hell was it? Going after, remember when he had that video where he was like, "You got it." It was like the borders are something having to do with immigration.
Tom Homan?
Yeah, I think it was Tom Homan. That was the name on the tip of my tongue. I didn't want to misspeak though. That earned his campaign a ton of money. And then also when people called his office, calling him terrible, like anti-Arab slurs, and they played those phone messages on Instagram, that gained him a lot of money. This kind of stuff earns people money. So I don't know why people haven't figured this out yet, but this is all working in James Talarico's favor, 100%. The network's decision to block the interview is one of the highest profile instances of the Trump administration applying pressure to rein in media personalities it views as unfriendly. Colbert panned President Donald Trump as, quote, a toddler with too much screen time. And again, we know most late night segments don't perform particularly well. So if they had just let it air and not said anything about it, it would have gotten way less press. Way less press. This was the worst. This was the absolute worst move. I think even Jasmine Crockett said something about it. She was like, "Yo, this got my opponent way more attention than if we had just let it be." At issue, the Federal Communications Commission equal time provision, which requires radio and broadcast programs to offer equal time to all candidates in a particular race. News programs have long been exempt from the rule, which has generally also been extended to talk shows. But guidance issued by FCC Chair Brendan Carr in January signaled the agency could go after late night talk shows, hosts, or shows like The View by citing the provision, which again, like I said, like I don't think that's crazy to cite the equal airtime provision, but when it's something that hasn't been done in the past, that does raise a red flag. Yeah, so Carr said he was thinking about dropping the exception for talk shows because he said that some of them were motivated by partisan purposes. Colbert told his audience, well, sir, you're chairman of the FCC, so FCC you, because I think you are motivated by partisan purposes yourself. The FCC did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Colbert's criticism. Talarico and other Democrats criticized the move. This is yet another troubling example of corporate capitulation in the face of this administration's broader campaign to censor and control speech. Ana Gomez, the FCC's lone Democratic commissioner, said in a statement, the FCC has no lawful authority to pressure broadcasters for political purposes or to create a climate that chills free expression. CBS said in a statement that it did not prohibit Colbert's show from broadcasting the interview. Quote, the show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for 2 other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled, the network said. The show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. As far back as his first term, Trump has floated using the FCC provision to go after talk show hosts. Since his return to the White House last January, Carr and other administration figures have aggressively targeted media institutions the president has criticized. Carr pressured ABC and several television station operators to temporarily take late-night host Jimmy Kimmel's show off the air in September amid conservative anger over comments he made after the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Trump cheered the move, also calling for NBC to go after its own late-night hosts, Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon. Let's just call it what it is, Colbert said. Donald Trump's administration wants to silence anyone who says anything bad about Trump on TV because all Trump does is watch TV. Colbert's time with CBS is winding down. Paramount Global, the network's parent company, announced last summer that it would soon be canceling The Late Show amid criticism from the president. Even though Paramount called the move a financial decision, it prompted widespread condemnation from Democrats and press freedom advocates. The talk show host did go through with his planned interview with Talarico, though only for his show's YouTube page, which, again, you know, honestly, in 2026, YouTube is much more accessible than airing it on television. Most people don't even have regular television these days. I was told in some uncertain times that not only could I not have him on, Colbert said of his interview with Talarico, I could not mention me not having him on. And because my network clearly doesn't want us to talk about this, let's talk about this. So good on him for doing that. And if you want to watch the entire interview, it's like a little bit over 14 minutes available on YouTube. Again, 10.6 million views as of airing, so will be several million more by the time I get off. And then, as I said, the New York Post put an article up that said Texas Dem Senate candidate James Talarico takes in $2.5 million, which he also posted on his own personal social media after Stephen Colbert interview nixed from the Late Show. So again, only helping. These kind of moments where it looks like a campaign is being attacked, especially by someone bigger. These are the moments campaigns absolutely dream of. You know, just so you know, this was nothing but good for James Talarico. All of these things are making him look great, and Jasmine Crockett knows that. She's been in politics a long time. She knows that, and she's not happy about it. And then last on this James Talarico, Jasmine Crockett race, Nina Turner, who is a former Ohio State senator and a professor, posted something because I think she was basically sick of everyone calling Jasmine genocide Jasmine, and went to each of their websites where they specifically talk about policy for Israel. And she said, James Talarico has the same stance on Israel and Palestine That Jasmine Crockett does. She said both deserve criticism for it. And I expect to see a Genocide James website as well. And she posts directly from their websites, Talarico versus Crockett. I'm going to read the policy points for you right now. A lot of people are saying they really love the way that James Talarico talks about the genocide in Gaza. And her rebuttal was kind of like, she's like, I don't care what he says. Like, if you like his flowery language more, she was like, look at the policy written out. It's the same stance. So again, and she is a Black woman, and I think there is a lot of talk, and I saw some articles about how kind of one article was entitled, and I'm paraphrasing here a bit, but basically about how the Democrats have to stop dimming the light on Black excellence. And I guess, you could possibly bring the recent attacks and the recent change of heart on Hakeem Jeffries into this conversation. But again, I think it's just something to put a pin in and to watch if we feel like that's happening as a party. Definitely something we want to watch. So this is from Tyler. It's unclear. I'm pretty sure Jasmine Crockett's website is blue. So let me just make sure I'm doing the right thing. Official website. All right. So U.S. Senate. No, continue to cite. Yeah, I was like, yeah, her background's blue. I read out on it before. Okay, so this is James Talarico's stance on Israel. It says take, and it's written in like little chunks because that's how policy is written on websites. So take urgent action to support peace in the Middle East. Protect innocent life by stopping offensive weapons sales to the Netanyahu government while supporting defensive systems like the Iron Dome alongside agreements that American funds will not be used to harm civilians. Use all of America's financial and diplomatic leverage to secure a two-state solution that disarms Hamas, establishes a democratic Palestinian state, halts Israel's illegal settlements, and respects the sovereignty of both nations, and promote long-term regional cooperation to defend American interests against adversaries like Iran. That's what James Talarico's website says. Here is what Jasmine Crockett's website says. I have made it clear that I do not support the Netanyahu government. I support the right of Israel to exist and defend itself, just as I do for the Palestinian people who deserve self-determination and self-governance in their own nation. And I think right out of the gates, when we're talking about language, James Talarico did say the same thing. He said, without saying this catchphrase, he said, I support Israel's right to exist, without saying word for word, I support Israel's right to exist, which I think was a really smart move because I support Israel's right to exist is kind of this like hack statement that we've gotten really accustomed to hearing politicians say, and we're just tired of hearing it. So that was, if I'm working for Jasmine Crockett's campaign, the mistake that she made. You want to avoid saying these things that feel like non-answers, basically, or, or these kind of answers that are created to kind of appease everyone. Or many people, because certainly lots of people are not appeased by Israel existing at all. I have opposed offensive weapons transfer and will work with my Senate colleagues to rein in executive authority to unilaterally transfer arms and offensive weaponry without approval of the Congress. I am against the illegal settlements and recognize our obligation to help Palestinians rebuild and restore their country. As it relates to Iran, as a civil rights attorney, I can never condone violence against peaceful protesters, censorship, and suppression of the people's voices. I am standing firm for democracy and self-determination. In the Senate, I will support long-term multilateral relationships with nations in the Middle East to isolate Iran and have long-term stability in the region. So, Nina Turner, you're not wrong. Yeah, and I love that she said, she's like, we don't need to have a big argument about it. She goes, literally, I am going to screenshot policy points that are readily available to absolutely everyone from both of these candidates' websites, and I'm going to put them side by side for you to read and listen to with your own eyes and ears. So I think that's a great example of how important it is to word things correctly, and just pointing to, again, like, most people, unless they're really, really politically involved, aren't actually going to make their way to your website and read your policy points. Like, it's not going to happen. The amount of times people ask me, they're like, why are you running? Like, isn't your policy exactly the same as Zoran Mamdani's? And I was like, that's so sad that you are so used to having no good choices that now you have two leftist choices and you're like, aren't you exactly the same? We had vastly different policies. I was like, go to the website. Not to mention that, like, when you're running for office, like, even if you feel generally the same about things, you're going to have things that are on your list of priorities. And my priorities and Zoran Mamdani's priorities, besides rent, were different. So I really love this point. And, people, of course, were attacking her in the comments, being like, this is not the energy we need right now. And I'm like, I think facts are always the energy we need. I don't think she was doing this to throw James Talarico under the bus. I think she was just, like, really angered by this sudden societal shift or leftist shift and turning our backs on Jasmine Crockett, and all of a sudden her being, called genocide Jasmine, when she's like, literally, look at their policy. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, the wording wasn't even that different. Again, I think what did her in was Jasmine's use of the phrase, Israel has the right to exist. That's not, people don't want to hear that anymore. And you could just phrase it a different way, like James Talarico. So I thought that was such an interesting thing. Again, that's by Nina Turner, if anyone's interested in following her on Instagram. All right, let's go into Girl now. Also, Mike, I know you're fasting right now, but please help yourself to any drinks from the refrigerator. You're not allowed to drink? There's energy drinks. There's flavored seltzers. I mean, please help yourself. I don't want you to pass out in the chair over there. I know you guys are missing Mike's the mic camera right now, but I can't see anything. Is there a camera on you? Because I just wanted to point out that he has a World's Sluttiest Dad t-shirt on. That really is the talk of the studio, and me and him are the only ones in the studio, but I've personally been talking about it a lot. There you go. All right, so this is Girl. Girl. I love your drops. Grr. That's really, really good. So this is from CNN, and ICE has killed yet another person. And this is so sad. A teacher who, quote, made you feel like you mattered was killed near her school after a man fleeing ICE crashed a car into hers. So I think, again, not getting as much publicity because the circumstances are a little bit different. Like, it was a true accident. But, of course, they went out of their way to not give her the assistance that she deserved as a human being. What was supposed to be a quiet, studentless staff planning day for teachers at a Georgia public school turned into a day of mourning when a man fleeing immigration agents crashed a car into a cherished educator's vehicle. Linda Davis, a special education teacher in her first year at Herman W. Hesse K-8 school in Savannah, was killed Monday morning on her commute to the school. The driver of the car that hit her, Oscar Vasquez Lopez, was arrested and charged with first-degree homicide, reckless driving, driving without a valid license, and failure to obey a traffic control device, according to the Chatham County Police. Davis dedicated her career to ensuring that every child felt supported, valued, and capable of success, the school's principal, Alana McMullen, told CNN on Tuesday. Her kindness, patience, and enthusiasm created a nurturing environment for her students and inspired those around her. The teacher's death comes as the nation continues to debate the efficacy of the Trump administration's mass immigration enforcement efforts, which have impacted people of all ages and races through arrests during traffic stops, at protests, workplace sweeps, and outside schools. An innocent American has lost their life because a criminal illegal alien attempted to evade arrest, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote in an X post Tuesday, and we're going to get into Kristi Noem at length in a moment. Immigration agents saw the 38-year-old Guatemalan national getting in a car during an enforcement operation and attempted a traffic stop, Immigration and Customs Enforcement said in a Monday news release. Vasquez Lopez initially complied with agents, ICE said, but fled the scene, making a reckless U-turn and running a red light, which led to the crash a short distance away from the school. He suffered minor injuries from the collision while Davis died at the scene, ICE said. However, police said Davis was taken to a hospital where she was pronounced dead. A third car was also involved in the crash, but no one from that car was injured or taken for medical aid. Betsy Nolan, a spokesperson for the police department, told CNN on Tuesday. Chatham County police weren't part of or aware of the federal immigration operation, the department said, until after the crash. Vasquez Lopez arrived to the United States illegally, quote, on an unknown date at an unknown location, and had been issued a final order of removal by a federal judge in 2024, according to ICE. CNN has reached out to the DHS and ICE for more details about Vasquez Lopez's case and his attempted detention. He is currently booked at the Chatham County Jail. Sheriff's Office spokesperson Tawana Garrett told CNN Tuesday afternoon under an immigration detainer. A request asking federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to notify ICE before the person is released. It can also ask for a detainee to be held for up to 48 hours beyond their scheduled release so that they can be turned over to federal custody. It's unclear if Vasquez Lopez has an attorney at this time and whether he will face deportation proceedings. Vasquez Lopez doesn't appear to have any outstanding warrants in Chatham County, according to information shared with CNN by the Chatham County Sheriff's Office. Fleeing from and resisting federal law enforcement is not only a crime, but extraordinarily dangerous and puts oneself, our officers, and innocent civilians at risk. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement about the crash, now an innocent bystander has lost their life. And they talk more about how great she was and what an amazing educator she was. I saw, and it's not mentioned here, but I saw something basically saying that she was left in her car and kind of denied medical attention. But where is that from? Where was that stemming from? Davis, Georgia. And that alone, let's see, the incident involved this, homicide. All right, so there's no official, and then again, maybe this is from some freaking Instagram post that I'm putting this into my mind, that they were just saying that, and it was not actually confirmed by anyone. All right, so again, a different situation than Alex Pretty or Renee Good, but still just loss of innocent life, and for what? It's not uncommon for, the police, when pursuing a stolen car or something, to go on these reckless chases where, so many civilians' lives are put at risk. And I remember that would happen every now and again. Where I grew up in Union Township, New Jersey, there's a big highway called Route 22, and I remember every now and then there would be cops speeding down, and my mom would always be like, "Oh yeah, they're probably pursuing a stolen car, and to find a freaking stolen car, they're gonna put everyone's lives at risk at this with this high speed chase, which is absolutely unnecessary." But cops be copping. Update on the Savannah Guthrie case: the fourth ransom note was sent in. This just gets weirder by the day. I'm actually excited to go into Tucson and kind of dig a little deeper and see what I can find amongst the locals there with what's going on with Nancy Guthrie. This is from the New York Post. Creep sends fourth Nancy Guthrie ransom note to TMC, and founder Harvey Levin makes the writer an offer. A fourth note has been sent to TMZ, somebody claiming to know what happened to Nancy Guthrie and demanding confidential payment for their information, with the outlet's founder, Harvey Levin, asking them to prove their claims are real by revealing what they know. If you're worried about getting this money and you really do have this information, send it to us, Harvey said in a Monday X post. We will forward it to the FBI, and that way there's a record that we have that you supplied this information. Yeah, it's like putting cash in like escrow, when you're buying a house or an apartment, you put it in escrow, and then we see that the money exists, but you don't the person who's going to ultimately receive it doesn't receive it yet. If they find her and they find the kidnapper, then at least there is evidence, because we have it, that you're the one who provided the information, he added. So this is a way for you to get that money if this is really legitimate. The note appeared to have been sent by the same person who has been sending TMZ notes claiming to know what happened to Nancy, but refusing to disclose because they don't want to be arrested before they can claim the FBI's $100,000 reward for information leading to her. They previously demanded a Bitcoin sum, which would be difficult to trace, before offering up their info. Harvey also quoted alarming information about the supposed circumstances of Nancy's disappearance, the letter sender claimed to have. I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border, and I was told to shut up. So I know who he is, and that was definitely Nancy with them, Harvey said, reading from the letter. This was the latest of numerous anonymous notes TMZ has received since 84-year-old Guthrie, mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, vanished on February 1st. TMZ was one of several news outlets that received a supposed ransom note demanding millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin in the week after Nancy went missing. The deadline for that ransom came and went without payment or further communication from the sender. But days later, the outlet received a new note from somebody now claiming to know what happened to her, apparently the same individual who was still reaching out to TMZ as of Monday. Now, I just want to come out and say I know nothing about Bitcoin, but don't we think, would it be possible for like a hacker to fake send digital money? Like, is that something? I mean, we're talking about digital funds here. There's no way to send something that you can then take back. Mike's shaking his head. No. Are you our resident Bitcoin expert?
Well, no, I mean, what you're explaining is a child's understanding of it's like, it's computer money. Just send them computer.
Well, that's why I started the statement by saying, I want to say I know zero things about Bitcoin.
So every transaction done, of the Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
The amount of Bitcoin that exists now and will ever exist is a finite number.
Okay.
So there's only so much of it that exists, and it all exists on the ledger, right? The blockchain. It's a record of every single transaction that's ever taken place in Bitcoin, which is why it can never be. You can never have a situation where like a government says, okay, we got to make more Bitcoin. So, inflation happens and it brings down the value of it. You can never, like every single transaction is completely, it's sent out automatically to these nodes, which are, computers that track down the ledger. And every single one from the first guy who bought, whatever it was, 2 pizzas for 20,000 Bitcoin or whatever that first exchange was, that is on the ledger, right? And everyone on down that has ever happened is available to be seen. So there's that's what makes it so difficult you can't fake that. You literally can't.
Damn. All right. Well, back to the drawing board, I guess. They sent other letters too, which included admonishments for TMZ not taking them seriously and threats to stop helping if payment isn't sent. Well, you didn't help at all yet because you didn't tell us anything yet. No suspects had been named, and as the search dragged into its 3rd week, Nancy was last seen. I mean, I feel like this woman's dead. Do we not feel like this woman's dead? I'm not.
She's in her 80s, right?
Yeah, she's 84.
Right.
I think she's dead.
So it's like, legitimately, the way that you would need a, home health aide and like whatever.
Every 84-year-old doesn't need a home health aide. The woman was living by herself. She needs medication, but.
Right. I'm just saying, like I was talking to my father-in-law who just turned 80, and he was like, nah, like there's just no way she's still alive. Like there's no way that whoever kidnapped her has the resources to keep an 84-year-old woman alive.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, unfortunately. Nancy was last seen after being dropped off at her Tucson home by her son-in-law and was declared missing the next day when she failed to show up at a friend's house to stream their Sunday church service. Oh, cute. Several people were detained and questioned last week after chilling surveillance footage from Nancy's home was released and showed a masked and armed person apparently trying to break into her home. But each of those people were soon turned loose, with sources telling NBC News Monday that investigators were now leaning away from any of them being involved. They were also leaning away from any of Nancy's family being involved in the disappearance, sources said, while a myriad of theories about what happened are still swirling throughout the investigation. Again, I'll be on the ground in Tucson this weekend, and I don't have a ton of time. I think I'm literally just gonna spend more time traveling to and from Tucson than I'm going to be in Tucson, because you guys don't have any direct flights from New York City, so I got to travel via Atlanta. So I'll look for sex trafficking in the Atlanta airport, and then I'll be looking for Nancy Guthrie in Tucson. But if there's anything you could sit down with me. And I won't say who you are. You could give me a fake name. I mean, obviously, we've got to meet in a public place if you're not giving me any information about yourself. But I'll be the human Nancy Guthrie tip line. Give me information. I'll report it back to the people. I'll be the anonymous. I'll be the mediator here. All right. Another thing from Girl. Oh my God, this was Caroline Levitt was tweeting about this, but you probably heard about Trump accounts for your children. Mike, I don't know if you'll be setting one up, but parents across America can now officially apply to open a Trump account for their child. These Trump accounts are special investment accounts aimed at providing American children with a jump start on building wealth for life. If you are a parent who maximizes contributions to your child's Trump account, its projected value could reach nearly $1.1 million by the time they turn 28, based on average historical stock market returns, which is interesting because it's like, this is very possible with just like traditional investing. So then you go, how is Trump benefiting from this by making it specific? How has Trump specifically branded the kind of investing that anyone can do? Safe to say, Trump accounts will give a substantial head start to position your child for a very bright future. Trumpaccounts.gov and fill out the IRS form 4547, which of course are the numbers of Trump's presidency. Oh shit! What did I just do? Okay, 1 second. And then, obviously I was like, we got to go to this website. We got to pretend that we're interested in a Trump account. What's going on over here? So trumpaccounts.gov. Trump accounts jumpstart the American dream. We are building long-term financial security for millions of children by creating tax-advantaged investment accounts for U.S. citizens under the age of 18. Fill out your form 4547 below to make your election for the 2026 tax year. And it says, get $1,000 for every American child born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. The account is fully in your child's name, and you are the sole custodian until they turn 18. No contributions necessary, but you can deposit up to $5,000 per year to maximize growth. Which is kind of like I think isn't that the same for like contribution you can make to like a Roth IRA, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so it says step 1. So it's launching July 5th, 2026. Step 1, enroll your child by making an election on the new IRS form 4547. 2, financial institution will receive your funds and activate your account. 3, sit back and watch the money grow. Contribute anytime or not. Big things start with small steps. And so what is the catch here? Is this just another thing to incentivize white people making more babies, or is there something else here that you have seen? Because obviously this is not just what it seems.
I mean, we just saw Pam Bondi explaining when asked direct questions about the Epstein files.
Yes.
That the Dow Jones is at 50,000.
Correct.
So, that's what we should all be focusing on. And I do think it is a coordinated effort by the Trump administration to even more like tie America's fortunes directly into the Wall Street casino, you know, so that everybody has stake in the game for this, you know, like the Dow being at 50,000 means nothing to you if you have no money invested.
Sure.
But if you, you know, just by signing up for this thing, have $1,000 account that's going to be, you know, managed like a 401k account for your child, you're going to care more. Like, so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because okay, so here, a lot of places haven't written articles about about this, which to me usually flags like it's not as devious as like his other things, because if there was something really bad, this would be all over the place. But because like I'm not against people of all financial backgrounds learning the importance of investing, because you can, you know, I think we're just not taught a lot about investing, and you can have not that much money at all. And if you invest, you know, $20 a week or something, you can really create a good nest egg for your child by the time they are, you know, 21 years old. So there's an article from the St. Louis American, which obviously like local newspaper, by Latoya B. Parker and Diedrich Asante Muhammad, that says Trump accounts promise opportunity but reinforce inequality. So this says, when President Donald Trump launched his new Trump accounts for babies, he surrounded himself with billionaires, big banks, and a surprise guest, rap star Nicki Minaj. Minaj has pledged hundreds of thousands of dollars, reportedly between $150,000 and $300,000, to fund Trump accounts for her fans' children, the so-called Barb's babies. But Trump accounts are political fool's gold, shiny and celebrity studded on the surface, structurally designed to leave most black children with crumbs while channeling real gains to families who already have wealth. Every child born between 2025 and 2028 is eligible for a Trump account, a tax-advantaged investment account seeded with $1,000 in public funds if parents opt in. Families, employers, and donors can then contribute up to $5,000 a year invested in mutual funds and similar products. On paper, the goal is to give every child skin in the game and a nest egg for college, home ownership, or retirement. How inequality gets built in. But analysts warn that Trump accounts are likely to widen, not close, the racial wealth gap. In 2022, the median wealth for black families was about $44,900, compared with $285,000 for white families. In Trump accounts, balances grow with both market returns and additional contributions, so the children who gain the most will be those whose families and employers can consistently add thousands of dollars a year. I mean, which is true for any type of investment. This is not, this is investing 101. This is not specific to Trump accounts. A child whose family maxes out contributions could hold a six-figure account by adulthood. One whose family cannot add beyond the initial $1,000 deposit may end up with only a few $1,000s. Corporate America is already lining up to invest in these regressive investment accounts. As Politico recently reported, companies like Intel, SoFi, JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, and BlackRock are pledging to match the Treasury's $1,000 deposit for their employees' children. Venture capitalist Brad Gerstner plans to send $250 to young children in Indiana, while Dell CEO Michael Dell has promised a staggering $6.25 billion contribution. Who actually benefits? Those are real dollars, but they will flow first to families with steady jobs at large firms and access to financial institutions, not to low wealth income parents least able to save on their own. In other words, corporate Trump account dollars follow good jobs, not the communities with the greatest need. For black families who are more likely to experience low wages, income volatility, and far less family wealth than white households, that contribution structure is the policy's fatal flaw. Trump accounts effectively say you too can have a big nest egg if you and your employer can save like the rich. That is the essence of fool's gold. Decades of data show that black households hold only a fraction of the wealth of white households, even at similar incomes, because of longstanding discrimination in housing, labor markets, the tax code, and the economy's concentration of wealth over the last 40 years. On top of that, Trump accounts are opt-in and require navigating banks, paperwork, and investment choices, which policy experts warn will leave many low-income and Black and brown families out. If we truly want to close the racial wealth divide, we do not need more fool's gold. We need policies that recognize how wealth is distributed now and invest most heavily in children, starting with the least. That is the idea behind baby bonds. And baby bonds, when you go to it, this is something from baby bonds is something completely different. So if you want to look into research for that, but like it does talk about that at length. I don't want to go into a whole financial detour here, but if you want to look into baby bonds, you can look at that and how it compares to Trump accounts. And while everything this article is saying makes perfect sense, it's like, well, nowhere did Trump say that he was trying to invest in Black Americans. We know damn well he's not. We know everything the Trump administration is doing is to prioritize and incentivize people to have more white babies. A different model already exists. Economist Derek Hamilton, alongside William Sandy Darity and other scholars, began developing the baby bonds concept more than 2 decades ago, proposing government-funded trust accounts for every U.S. newborn, with the largest deposits going to children from the lowest wealth families. Today, baby bonds are no longer just an idea. States and jurisdictions, including Connecticut, California, and Washington, D.C., have all enacted baby bond-style programs that provide larger automatic deposits for children in low-income families. Researchers estimate a robust national baby bond program could reduce the Black-white wealth gap among young students by more than 90% at the median. The contrast with Trump accounts could not be clearer. Trump accounts give the same modest $1,000 to every child and then turbocharge the advantage of families who can afford to contribute thousands more each year. Baby bonds invest far more in children whose parents cannot save, and they do it automatically without complicated opt-ins or Wall Street gatekeepers. One accelerates existing inequality, the other is designed to repair it. Congress should transform these Trump accounts into progressive baby bonds. Policymakers should guarantee larger automatic public deposits for children in low wealth or low income households and shift from opt-in enrollment to automatic enrollment at birth. And just to show how like bias is all around us, like me as someone coming from a very middle-class family is going, oh, okay. So in both situations, a middle-class family is fucked because my family would not have enough money to make these monthly investments in me, but also I wouldn't most likely qualify as being a low-income family, so I wouldn't get the most invested in me either way. And the middle, as usual, is fucked, which is why middle class is, year by year existing less and less in this country. To bridge growing wealth inequality, that is the lead cause of ongoing racial inequality. We need to embrace the original structure of baby bonds and broader structural reforms that move resources toward families who have been locked out of wealth for generations. These changes would move the program away from fool's gold and towards something closer to genuine wealth building for Black children. And obviously, please take this article that I just read as an op-ed, not as 100% fact. Obviously, it was very biased in for baby bonds, but makes sense. So I'm going to link this here too if you want to look at that in the show notes. It also an interesting thing is that on this trumpaccounts.gov thing, right on this website that looks like just a really loose, not secure form, they're asking for your full social security number, which I just think is really weird on a loosey-goosey intake form with that. Usually anytime you're putting your social security number on something, it's a little bit more secure than the contact page on an email, on a celebrity's website or something. All right, let's see. Last big thing that I want to get into today is this article that's a big, they're saying it's a pretty big takedown of Kristi Noem. I mean, there have been many, but this is one that everyone was talking about from the Wall Street Journal specifically. My mom did specifically point this out to me. She said, this is the one, you got to read this. She doesn't talk like that. She has a Jersey City accent. I'm making her sound like she's she's not even Jewish. All right, let's go. This is loading. Sorry, I got to go through the archive here. the wild world of archiving. Can we get through, or will I need to read it from my phone? Oh boy. Why isn't this working? I feel like too many people found out about the amazing archive website and now it doesn't work the way it used to. Please hold 1 sec. Damn it. Can you get this, Michael?
You know what I'm pissed that I can't get?
What?
$1,000 for my baby.
You're still on? Well, you could have another baby, and then by 2028.
Yeah, I mean it does seem pretty messed up that it's like, if you were a baby born under Biden, I don't want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. You're a Biden baby, not my problem.
Oh wow, really, World Sluttiest Dad is really bringing the talent here today.
Thank you.
Damn it! Why is this not loading? Can you get this article, this Wall Street Journal article? I loaded it previously, and now it's not loading. I guess the internet just hates this show. It doesn't hate the other studio because the internet's not working in the studio either. Or maybe it's this website. Kristi Noem, take it down.
Ooh, I'm getting the dreaded loading screen of death. So
yeah. All right. Well, we might have to put a pin in that. Basically, so if you want to read it on your own, it's called this article was called one of the greatest takedowns of Kristi Noem since she's, held her position. But it's from the Wall Street Journal. It says a pilot fired over Kristi Noem's missing blanket and the constant chaos inside DHS. Basically, this woman is, unable to run an agency, I think. There's a John Oliver thing here. Ugh, God, I don't really want John Oliver's. When you Google it, the other kind of articles about Kristi Noem are just like the South Park episode and John Oliver taking her down, which is not exactly what I was going for with this piece. All right, well, we'll have to put a pin in that for next week because that isn't going down. Keep working on that, Mike. I'm going to move on to a could be worse / cuties corner. Very interesting story. And it's about an assassination that we had talked about previously on this show. This is from USA Today. Assassination by frog. Scientists ponder a very surprising report. This is by Dina Voiles-Pulver. A joint report alleging that a poison dart frog toxin has been linked to the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny rippled quickly around the globe among scientists. The allegations raised fresh questions about the circumstances of Navalny's 2024 death and about the origin of a highly unusual toxin. Poison dart frog species have long fascinated researchers and the public, partly because of their diminutive size and striking color patterns, and also because of the stories surrounding the deadly toxins found on their bodies. Indigenous hunters, for example, used one type of dart frog poison on the tips of their arrows, but the toxin reportedly identified in this case, epibatatine, isn't known to have been used to kill anyone, Kyle Summers, an emeritus biology professor at East Carolina University, told USA Today. The report released on February 14th by the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Sweden, and the Netherlands stated the governments were confident Navalny was poisoned based on the traces of epibatatine found in his body. Navalny, an attorney, had been imprisoned in Siberia when he died. The report noted the toxin is only found naturally in poison dart frogs in South America, not Russia. The governments didn't release toxicology reports, and the Russian government denied the allegation. Epibatatine intrigued researchers for decades and was once highly sought after as a potential analgesic, many times more powerful than morphine. It may be possible that a chemical laboratory thousands of miles from a tropical rainforest could have artificially reproduced the toxin, but many questions remain, Summer said. John Daly, a biological chemist at the National Institute of Health, pioneered research on dart frogs over decades, tracing the origin of their poisons to their diets, according to Joe Schwartz, director of the McGill University Office for Science and Society. Enzymes in the frogs' bodies turn the alkaloids in ants, small beetles, millipedes, and mites into toxins, Schwartz wrote in an article first published in the Montreal Gazette. Daly identified epibatidine in a poison frog in Ecuador called Epipedobatus tricolor. At first, researchers had high hopes for the poison. Although it's extremely toxic, they found it had a pain-killing effect 200 times more potent than morphine and might not be linked to addiction. The idea that epibatidine could be a potentially useful pharmacological tool as a painkiller really stimulated a lot of interest and motivation, Summers said. Ultimately, it could be incredibly profitable if they could make it work as a painkiller. Scientists were able to decode the toxin and chemically reproduce it, but they found the difference between a beneficial dose and a deadly dose was too narrow to be viable. Summers noted the statement from the government does not make clear Navalny's cause of death, but it's remarkable if they were able to identify the epibatidine in samples from his body. It would be unprecedented if Navalny's death is attributed to the epibatidine toxin, said Roberto Marquez, an assistant professor in the biological sciences department at Virginia Tech. Although some indigenous tribes in the rainforest were said to have used batrachotoxin from dart frogs for hunting, scientists haven't found any evidence that epibatidine was ever used for that purpose. The batrachotoxin was the only frog toxin well known to be used by humans, and it was used by indigenous Americans in some parts of Colombia, Marquez said. It would be, quote, very surprising if anyone tried to use the product as an experimental chemical to poison someone, Summers said. The statement from the United Kingdom and other governments said they informed the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons of their findings that could indicate a violation of the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention. It also stated that the findings raised concerns that Russia had not destroyed all of its chemical weapons. Found in tropical rainforests in South America, the frogs face risks from habitat destruction and the exotic pet trade. More than 175 species have been identified. Dart frogs in captivity aren't generally toxic because they aren't fed the same diet as frogs in the wild, the researchers found. Colorful patterns on the frog warn predators of danger, Summers said. They advertise the toxins so that predators know how to avoid them. The frogs have evolved to be resistant to the toxin. The bright colors are sometimes mimicked by non-poisonous frogs to convince predators they're deadly, and by other poisonous frogs to join forces in warning predators away. Said Summers, one of several scientists who have studied coloration among dart frogs for years. Color is also used in mate choice and competition. Yuzin Yang, an assistant professor at the University of South Florida, told USA Today. Females usually prefer males that have the same color as their own, as well as brighter colors. And males are more aggressive when the opponent is the same color and brighter. Many of the poison frog species are different from other frogs, which abandon their eggs to hatch on their own, Summers said. He and Yang described how adults cooperate to transport their tadpoles to small pools. The tadpoles will wriggle onto the male's back, and the male will go to a small pool, Summers said. Over a period of months, they will go back and visit the pool. Females lay eggs for the tadpoles to eat and survive, the scientist said. That kind of monogamous pairing is very unusual for frogs. The behaviors for mating are likely acquired when tadpoles remember their mom's color when she is feeding them, Yang said, and when they grow up, they show bias toward the color that they remember. So again, a little bit Cutie's Corner, a little bit could be worse as far as the assassination of Navalny. And any look on that Kristi Noem one or no?
So what I found, whoa, I don't know what the hell that is.
Oh boy.
What I found was The Independent.
Mm-hmm.
Did the biggest bombshells about Kristi Noem and her top aide, Corey Lewandowski, from the Wall Street Journal's expose.
Okay. You can share that with us.
Yeah. A bombshell report has alleged that the Department of Homeland Security is in a state of constant chaos under the leadership of Kristi Noem and her top advisor, Corey Lewandowski. The journal cites sources within the department who are highly critical of Noem's reign and paints an unflattering portrait of the secretary as a politician who has sought to burnish her personal stardom at every turn. Noem has staged a headline-grabbing immigration crackdown while sidelining rivals and dissenters. The newspaper states noting secretary's penchant for deposing an
I like that you read articles like you're an auctioneer.
What?
You read articles like you're an
Hey,
auctioneer. Wait, can you slow down like half a second?
Yes.
Thanks.
The newspaper states, noting the secretary's penchant for posing an agency-branded flak jackets and caps and bearing guns as props, all with an eye to her style with TV-ready hair and makeup. It reports that President Donald Trump has entertained calls to fire Noem and Lewandowski amid discontent about their management of the department, although he has so far refrained from doing so. Assistant DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told The Independent Mr. Lewandowski serves as an advisor to the secretary. The secretary, like all previous secretaries, has various senior advisors. This department doesn't waste time with salacious, baseless gossip. We have actual work to do, keeping the American homeland and its citizens safe, something the last administration failed to do for 4 years. What's the gossip? What's the goss?
No, what do you mean? What's the goss? It's not goss. It's like just a more of a takedown, saying like she's not doing her job. It's
like
absolutely chaotic.
All previous secretaries has various seniors advisors. This department doesn't waste time with salacious, baseless gossip.
What is the gossip?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yo, is Lewandowski a little closer to Noem than
Kristi Noem
some would have us believe?
Gossip.
A departmental spokesperson previously challenged a number of the points raised by the Wall Street Journal. Here's a look at some of the key claims made against the secretary in its reports. Trump is, quote unquote, uncomfortable with Noem and Lewandowski's relationship. Ooh. Scandalous. It has long been rumored that the secretary and her top advisor, both of whom are married, have engaged in an extramarital affair. They repeatedly denied the allegations, and the secretary has called them a disgusting lie. The Wall Street Journal, nevertheless...
that guy's not hot.
Neither of them are hot.
I don't know.
She looks melted.
Kristi, I don't know. I don't think she's that bad looking.
Melted.
She's overdone with the filler, but I don't think she's that bad looking.
Would rather... Who was the woman you said was 60?
Pam Bondi.
Let's go. Pam
Okay.
Bondi, 10 times out of 10.
Oh, my God.
It has long been rumored that the secretary and her top advisor, both of whom are married, have engaged in an extramarital affair. They've repeatedly denied the allegations, calling them disgusting. The Wall Street Journal, nevertheless, revives them and reports that the close relationship had already made Trump and his top advisors uncomfortable, adding that...
Is that because Trump wants to have sex with Kristi Noem?
No, because Trump is traditional Christian values, Corinne.
Oh, my God.
Come on. Don't you know the guy who's on his fourth wife is very serious about extramarital affairs?
Oh, my God.
Adding the president had rejected the idea of Lewandowski serving as Noem's chief of staff due to reports of a romantic relationship between the two, which he has continued to bring up, officials say. They knew about this going in.
Well, this isn't. I feel like several weeks ago there was something that we said that these two might be having an affair. I feel like this is not the first time we've heard about this.
I'm just saying you knocked the boots off this woman, and now you're you're a senior advisor to DHS. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Everyone, like, it's full on nepotism.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter your gender. If you are willing to suck and fuck, you too can move up in the bureaucracy.
Well, I mean, honestly, good for her. Men have been doing it for years.
Goose, good for the gander.
Oh my God.
All right. Newspaper reports that Noem moved into a government-owned waterfront house on a military base in D.C.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. This is all piecing together.
Yep. Provided for the head of the Coast Guard after tabloid photos of Lewandowski showed him going back and forth between his apartments and Noem's across the street last year. A DHS spokesperson told the Wall Street Journal that Noem had moved into the house for security reasons and said she pays rent
Security
at the property.
for her pussy.
Is her husband not living with her?
Well,
she's married.
Yeah, so she has a type, which is balding, like average looking white guy. Because
what's up, Kristi Noem?
Her husband. Well, no, like these, like you have a specific look. These people look like they're like made from like a white man machine. You don't look like you were made from a white man machine. You actually have your own look.
Lewandowski does look like, he could be an NPC in a John Wick
Exactly. I would say Kristi Noem's actual husband is more handsome, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
Let's look up Corey Lewandowski's wife. I just like to see.
Oh, Kristi Noem's husband is significantly more attractive.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Kristi Noem is significantly more attractive than Corey Lewandowski's wife.
Well, yeah, that's unfortunate for them. Well, to be fair, I'm looking at a picture of Kristi Noem when they had their first kid, and it's like, she's gotten quote unquote TV ready since she was taking pictures with her, since she was taking family pictures at a Sears.
Yeah, there's something about Kristi Noem that I actually think she's kind of cute, but in a very overdone, like in a Lisa Rinna type of way.
Don't come at the queen like that.
I love Lisa Rinna.
That's what I'm saying. Don't lump her in with this.
I'm just saying when we're talking about people who have a ton of visible Botox and filler.
I'm just saying. If you Google Kristi Noem husband, and you go to Google Images, the second image in is her posting for their 31st wedding anniversary, where she looks absurd in her wedding picture.
Oh.
She has
I found like a young one, but that's from the 80s, or early 90s based on the clothing. Kristi Noem.
Well, I mean, 31 years together, and this was posted
that's crazy.
142 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
I'm going to be with my wife for 31 years.
Okay.
Assuming that I don't die of a heart attack.
You know what? I didn't want to be the one to say it. Oh, she's blonde and she has like a cowboy hat on.
She's a cowboy hat and like the Bo Peep curls.
Yeah, that's just like, it just looks dated. She's not unattractive. It's just like the outfits of those times make you look older. What second pick?
It's a carousel, that photo. On Instagram. Click on that and then go into the second one and you'll see like the Sears.
No, I see. I found it a different way. I Googled Kristi Noem wedding.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going. I can do husband.
I mean, yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts because this Lewandowski guy, he just looks. He just looks like a real creep.
I would love to see like a Love Island or something with like politicians. That's something I'd be really interested in tuning into. Come on. Like it wouldn't be hot, but it would be juicy.
Yeah, these are like notoriously unattractive people doing a Love Island style.
You don't want to see Hillary Clinton on Love Island? I do.
No, because that means I have to see Hillary Clinton in a bathing suit.
I would love to see
Clinton. Yuck.
Stop. You're such a Clinton hater. All right. Anyway, that is our show for this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your patience as we navigate this new studio. If you want to join the Patreon, it's patreon.com/withoutaCountry. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube no matter how you listen to the show. It's a free way to help the show if you're not able to join the Patreon. And, of course, if you're in Tucson this weekend, please make sure to come out to Club Congress on Saturday, February 21st. Doors open at 6 p.m. You're gonna be part of history there, guys. It's gonna be the first of something really cool to get everyone more involved in municipal politics. And Mike, where can people find you?
I am available at the M Harrington on both Instagram and Twitter. Stick it, Elon. I'm still calling it Twitter. Wow,
that was super lefty of you. That comment.
Thank you.
We almost forgot. Can we talk about how you're no longer allowed in your parents' home?
They've since walked that back.
Oh, they have? So last week it was very juicy and we forgot to talk about it on air because there was so much news. But Mike has become so anti-MAGA that he was not allowed, that his mother said he wasn't allowed in their home anymore, but that's since been rescinded, I see.
So what I actually said was, I think I don't think it's good for anyone to have an armed Gestapo on the streets who only reports to the federal government.
And that was your quote that was too much for Mom.
Yes. I was like in the middle of explaining how it's like anti-2A, anti-states rights.
Sure.
And she just jumped down my throat. She's like, Gestapo, you and the liberals, they minimalize the Holocaust. My aunt was in the Holocaust. She gnawed her finger off because the SS guards were trying to get her wedding ring.
And keep in mind, Mike's mom is not Jewish.
No. Syrian Lebanese. Like one or the other. I mean, her grandmother claims Lebanese, but her grandmother is also like a very shifty Arab. So likely
my God,
a Syrian.
Michael,
this is my family. I can talk like that.
Oh my God, my migraine had left and now it came back. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, but I think it was on the Scandinavian side. So like her my grandparents, like sisters and brothers, like they were just grabbing up anybody at a certain point, especially if you were, not German. So this is a Christian woman who got, grabbed up by the Nazis, and she did. By all accounts, I mean, I didn't get to meet this woman. She was not our paths didn't cross or whatever, but
right.
By all accounts, she did like gnaw her ring finger off to, stop the Nazis from getting her wedding ring or engagement ring, whatever it was.
Badass.
So yeah, 100%, right? And this story stuck with my mom. But the idea that like just calling a federal force that only responds to the president is not very well trained and is using excessive force on American citizens, that was a bridge too far, and we got back and forth into a big argument. I told her that, her team is just going to bat for pedophiles, and she started screaming. Mind you, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. She screams, "You ruined a perfectly good dinner, Michael." At
9 o'clock in the morning, you had already ruined dinner. So just to convey to any of you guys who get frustrated with Mike, and please know his own mother also gets frustrated with him.
Can't stand me. Look, I don't like hypocrisy in any form. So
and that's fair.
Just seeing what this administration is doing is really kind of grinding my gears. But it was enough that my mom like completely flipped out. She has since called me, like she's brought it up 3 or 4 times since and been like, you really like to push my buttons, you like to grind my gears. And
well, obviously anyone who knows you knows that this is your MO.
I am a bit of a button pusher.
Yeah, that's what you love to do that.
But specifically in this case, I do kind of stand by that, and I feel like I've been pretty consistent about not having armed forces who only
I would agree with
the executive branch of the government in our street, despite whoever's in power. I just don't. I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she really had a leg to stand on, but it did. She has since, like I said, she called me very disrespectful, told me I'm not allowed to talk politics, and then will like throw her stuff in there. So it's like, I don't want to talk about this with you anymore. And anyway, this guy was right about this thing. And I'm like, dog, if you don't want to talk about it, then we're not going to talk about it.
She just wants to have the last word.
You can't just last word me to death. That's a little crazy.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not allowed to. I am welcome in their home again, but I am certainly not allowed to talk politics. And then when I sent her a video of a Fox News host sitting around joking about how Jeffrey Epstein was a pretty good guy if you wanted to procure a girl. What did he really do wrong anyway? He got some young trim. What powerful guy doesn't like young?
Who said that?
This was on Fox's signature show, The Five, where they have like 5 different Fox News hosts all sit around and like have their own version of like The View or whatever, where they're just bullshitting.
I am so sad that I'm not allowed on Fox anymore. I mean, not it's not officially not allowed, but obviously unwelcome there.
Right. Well, I mean, it's wait until, there's a Democrat in office again, and then you'll be welcomed back with open arms. It's just, you can't possibly upset the Donald at this point. He's just far too powerful.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, I sent my mom this clip of the 5 having that conversation.
Just a fixer, a guy who advises. He helps people with their problems. Sometimes those problems are, you need a girl, and
or some penicillin,
or some. If you need it, he's got it.
He's a sex rabbi.
He should perform at the halftime show next year. Yes. It looks like he's.
So I sent her that and was like,
it's crazy that they're like sitting around yucking it up about
this is what your team's doing.
This is crazy.
And she was like, I find that disgusting. And I was like, well, Fox News is always on when I'm at your house. So how disgusting could it be?
Right. Damn. Well, yeah, no, I appreciate you do stand by, your feelings, even when it's the guy, you voted for, or, accidentally because you messed up your ballot, didn't vote for, but wanted to vote for in your heart is screwing up.
I'm too black-pilled for the left, and I'm too, paying attention for the right. So I have no home politically.
What's black-pilled? I've never heard anyone use black-pilled.
You never heard black-pilled before? Black-pilled is it's all shit. It's all...
so the black is poopy? Shouldn't it be brown-pilled?
Yes. No, the black is there's where there once was light and joy.
Darkness.
The
void.
Yeah, dude, I'm very
goth.
Very Lego Batman, if you will.
Okay. All right. I get it.
There's too many powerful people who have definitely touched children, and that's why, we now don't have Medicaid anymore. It's pretty crazy.
Pretty unfortunate. All right, where can people find you besides on the dark web?
All right, the Twitter and Instagram at the M Harrington. My big show coming up, the Armored League. Tomorrow it's going to be the Violent Femmes at Melrose Ballroom, completely sold out. Over 700 tickets sold. Going to be absolutely jam-packed to the rafters in Melrose Ballroom. Going to be some special guests who are popping on commentary with me, including my wife, Alex. Going to be in the booth with us. Check out thearmoredleague.com. You can get all the streaming links there.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much for being a part of Without a Country, whether you're a listener, a Patreon subscriber, someone hate watching to, hoping that I fail. Whoever you are, I appreciate you. I appreciate the views. Again, follow me on all social media at Philanthropy Gal. I'll see you this Saturday in Tucson. Can't wait to report back. If you have anything to share with the show, it's withoutacountrypodcast@gmail.com. I got multiple requests for some pretty cool guests in the politics world to be on the show. Not like famous politicians, like James Talarico is not trying to be on the show, but people who I think are doing really cool, interesting things in politics reached out to me today. So as soon as we smooth out the tech, we'll have some more guests on for you. But until then, thank you so much for listening and watching. Remember, the truth is in there. And as the hat says, and this started some conversations, guys. I had a really good conversation with a flight attendant on my way to Miami this past weekend. So wear your Where is Shelley Miscavige hats, wear your Not Immune from Joining a Cult hats, and start some conversations in the real world. Look up from your phone. It'll be fun. Peace.